A good coach
Yeah.
will ask you powerful questions and give you space and time to reflect and think about what your response is.
Mm-hmm.
A good coach is not going to tell you to do this or to do that. So hi everyone, welcome to episode 2 of our Self-Discovery in Good Company podcast. I am Stacey and this is
Also Stacey.
Yeah. And we're actually in the same house.
We are in the same house because we are doing this on a Saturday morning.
Mm-hmm.
My house is not the place to be on a Saturday morning. It's an actual riot. There is not one bit of space that is quiet. So I said, right, guys, I am leaving and I'm going up to Stacey's beautiful home and I'm going to pretend it's my home for a little bit.
Well, I'm actually laughing because we maybe should have hidden my ASOS parcel.
I can't. Oh,
in the background.
And
I was like, Stace, do you want to take all the pictures, Harper's artwork off my fridge? But she said, no, it's more authentic. But that is
it's real
ASOS
life.
Exactly. The ASOS parcels is me trying to find Christmas night out outfits.
Well, have you opened it yet or not?
I have. All of those are going back. I actually will show you before you leave to see what you think.
Okay then. And I will live vicariously through you because I don't have a Christmas night out. So I will just live through you. Maybe put on sequins one night to do the bottle feed.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the podcast. We should do like that.
Oh yeah, I'll dress up for that for sure.
Yeah, dress up for that.
That's, maybe my Christmas night out will be like, I'll have a fizz while I'm giving babies bottles. So.
Oh, that's
fun.
That would be lovely. That would be lovely.
How's your week been, Stace?
It's been good. Yeah, I'm just trying to think what I've been up to. It's one of those weeks where I feel like I've just been like, I can't believe it's Saturday already.
Oh, I know.
And I'm laughing this morning because my house is cold. I put the heating on, but it's just that time of year and I'm trying to work out ways of making it colder. I've got an old house. We've got really similar houses actually.
Yeah.
So probably
and they're just cold houses. They're cold houses.
And I used to live in a house that was a new build. And oh my gosh, within 20 minutes it would be warm. And it's just not like that in my house. You have to like plan for it to be warm. So my dad is a plumber and a heating engineer. So I have forced him, I would say, to agree to put another radiator in my house because he just hates working, basically. He just hates working.
I feel you, Dad.
Totally. I've had to like be like, me and Harper are really cold, Dad. Can we have an extra radiator? So anyway, he went to drop it off. He was going to drop it off this morning. And the first thing was I said to him, I was like, well, okay, but what time? And he was like, well, just in the morning. And I was like, well, you can't come in between 10 and 11 because I'm filming something.
That's hilarious.
What? So I think he's like, maybe thinking I'm filming like, pictures of my feet for OnlyFans or something. I don't know.
Well, it's a way to make money at Christmas. My feet are ugly. You would not want a picture of my feet.
I sometimes think with ones like that, though, it's probably the uglier the better. So
I make a fortune then. Yeah, so your dad thinks you're filming for OnlyFans. Amazing.
Yeah. And then I said, well, you have to come before 10. So he was like, okay, that's fine. And then I said, well, I'll be at the gym because obviously this is my child-free morning. That's why my house is quiet.
You've crammed so much into a Saturday morning. I don't know how you do it. I haven't even washed my hair. Like, I don't know how you cram so much in.
Well, anyway, so I forgot to leave the garage open so that he could leave the radiator in there. So I got a text from him being like, you had one job, ... And I was like, oh. So I had to pull it inside. And I was like, yeah, just leave it outside. I'm on my way home from the gym. Just leave it outside in the rain. And I was like, I'll be able to get into the garage. Oh my God, well, that was hysterical. I was like, literally like this. I'm like, I'm a strong, independent woman until I don't want to be.
Yeah, until I need you to do something for me.
Exactly. So yeah, anyway, that was a snippet of my week. So hopefully I'll have a warmer house next week, Stace. I did.
Yeah. And send us the link to your OnlyFans account.
Oh my God, imagine. No one wants to see that in any capacity, I think would be fair to say. I was your week.
Yeah, it's been good. A lot of repetitive twin mumming stuff, but it's great. It's wonderful. Yes, lovely. But last night my daughter had a Claire's accessories party. It's my niece's birthday today, so happy birthday to my little
Aw.
Darsicle.
Happy birthday, Darcy.
She's
Sweetest
7.
girl.
Oh, the loveliest, kindest little girl you could ever meet. And she was having a Claire's party last night. Now, if you are a 7-year-old girl, a Claire's party is like, it's like Disneyland. It's where it's at, just tat that's really expensive in Claire's. So they shut the shop after hours and 14 girls got to go in and run riot, and they all got like £20 gift vouchers. So they could just buy whatever they wanted.
Oh,
honestly, I was like, to my sister, I was like, you have made all their dreams come true. That is actual madness. But they loved it. So they were running around with their little baskets. And I was staying to help, with moral support, because you need that.
Sister duties.
Oh, you need that when you're hosting a kids' party. And honestly, I'd been up since like 5, a full day of twinning with the boys, and went to this party at night. And honestly, 14 kids go, how much is this? How much is this? How much do I have left? If I buy this lip balm and this bath bomb, how much would I have left? And I thought, oh my God, I'm not mentally prepared to do arithmetic on a Friday night. I am not there. And I couldn't get my calculator out because, this is like primary 3 maths. Like, what is this away from 20? But they all kept asking me. And I thought, I'm like Carol Vorderman on a Friday night trying to figure out. Like, I was like, okay, I think you've got £14 left. So, but they had a ball. They were screaming. They were just going daft. So yeah, Claire's parties is where it's at for the 7-year-old girls. And yeah, so that was fun. And I actually got to leave my house alone this week, Stacey. Last Saturday, I was away. I was alone. I was by myself. I was on a train. I was allowed to drink alcohol without manning children. It was brilliant. So,
amazing.
I met one of my best pals in Edinburgh, because we are long overdue for a catch up. So she came through from Glasgow and I met her there, and we just had drinks and catch ups, and it was ace. And we're sitting and we were chatting about all things PGC actually. And she posed a really good question that I had never really thought about. This is why it's so important to have these conversations with people, because you just get all this nuggets of information that you're like, I've never thought about it like that. And I thought to myself, that is a great podcast episode. So we need to chat through that. So she had said to me, she was like, it all sounds ace. I love watching Stacey's videos. They're amazing. She was like, but what is the difference between coaching and therapy? I was like, that is such a good question. I've never really thought about it. Like, therapy, we kind of have an expectation what therapy is. But coaching, I suppose, if you're not from the coaching and development world, you're like, what actually is it? Like, what can you help coach me on? What can I do? I thought that is such a great question for Stacey. So I thought, let's chat about that today.
I love it. Thank you so much. So, so coaching and therapy is very different. So therapy should be undertaken by somebody who is a qualified professional and has a qualification in therapy. And it can be in, different, there's different ways of obtaining that qualification. But I think it's a really important point, because actually it's a bit more medically grounded is what I would say. Therapy, and it's a bit more it should be more licensed almost than coaching, because I feel like it's quite easy actually to get coaching qualifications, which there's good or bad sides to that, I suppose. The qualification that I've done was registered with the International Coaching Federation and the Association of Coaching, which basically one's a bit more European, one's a bit more American. So that's the qualification that I did. But there's quite a lot of, I'm sure you've seen Instagram ads on it.
Oh
and
God,
things.
yeah.
Become a coach. And you know what? I actually, in some respects, I actually think that's a good thing, because it's making coaching more accessible to people who couldn't perhaps afford it.
Yeah.
And because coaches, people who are coaching can charge up to kind of £30,000 for coaching.
Wow.
So expensive. Whereas I'm sure if someone's done a qualification like that, they're probably a bit more reasonably priced.
Okay.
But therapy is much different, and actually it's kind of like trained therapists, doctors, etc., that would do therapy. And what I would say as well, in terms of then, okay, once you've done, what happens when you're in the sessions and how is it different? Therapy is about looking backwards quite often and looking
okay.
to understand, what's driving my behavior. A lot of it's associated with childhood. Why is it that I'm acting in this way? And you look a lot back and forward. But I think coaching, what I quite like about coaching is you do look back a bit, but you look forward more.
Yeah.
And I've had therapy a few times.
As have I. I think everyone should have it, personally. I think the Americans have got it right. Everyone is a therapist. I really think we should all have it. That's just a by the by.
Completely. No, completely. I totally agree. In some respects, so like, think because of my job and because of the work I've done, I'm quite self-aware. So I understand what's driving a lot of my behavior. And if not, I kind of am programmed to think, why am I doing that? Like, why am I placing so much importance on this? Or why am I finding that really difficult or whatever? So that's how my brain kind of has been programmed over the years. But what I think, so therapy, I found useful, but I actually find looking forward a bit more useful for where I'm at. But I think you have to look back before you look forward.
Yeah, definitely.
I remember one therapy session I had, and I had a therapist that was awful, actually, really awful. And how I would say that is, like, I literally spent the whole session crying, the whole session. Like, I don't know whether she didn't read the room or whether that was just her style, but it wasn't a good match. And I came off of it and I was so upset. And I got another therapist who was brilliant and really helped me. And then I was in therapy another time that really helped me as well. Actually, I don't like that phrase, in therapy. Just said it, but I don't think I like it, because I think we should always kind of be in therapy.
I think so. You should always be reflecting and, like, using experiences to kind of move forward. And, everything is a learning experience, and trying to understand it. So no, I totally agree with that. And I think your point about not everyone is a match, that is really important as well. Don't think if you have started seeing someone to speak, through your issues or something that might have happened, if it doesn't feel right, that's okay. That you can say, this is not a match. I don't think we should be working together. It's not about you. Sometimes people are just not a match, and it's okay to then go and try somebody else. You're not going to be a match with everyone. So I think that's really useful.
Yeah. And I'd say that with coaching as well. So coaching is a good coach will not give you the solutions.
Okay.
And that's what people struggle with a lot. So a good coach will ask you powerful questions and give you space and time to reflect and think about what your response is. A good coach is not going to tell you to do this or to do that. Now, I do think, so within my coaching, I kind of had a coaching session with someone this week, and we spoke about, what was happening with them. And then they came up with a couple of light bulb moments for themselves, and they actually said, as I'm speaking to you, I actually think this is what I need to do, which is great. And then I said, okay, and what I want you to do, your homework for this week, and all that's optional, but I want you to do these 2 things, really small things. And I was like, I want you to do that because I think that's going to benefit you with what you've decided, the direction that you want to go in. So good coaches don't actually give you the answers, because you have the answers. You have the answers.
And probably not a lot of people really realize that, because I'm such a I know, I think it's my star sign. I'm such a solutions-based person. So if somebody comes to me with something, I'm like, right, what is the solution? What is the solution? Like, let's think about how we can sort this out. But actually, sometimes there's not a solution either. Like, sometimes it's just, this is the situation, and it's accepting that this is the situation. There's nothing that can be changed about it. This is what it is.
Yeah.
So I think that's really kind of important. That's an important point that you make. And I would, want to highlight that, you're not gonna be able to give somebody all the answers, is basically.
No. And actually, I think with therapy, what I've said to my friends and things who've done therapy, and I'm glad we're speaking about it, because I do think that it's much better. There could be a stigma associated with it, but I think we're coming on leaps and bounds about mental health,
so.
and I don't think it's the same as it was. But what I would say is, I never got the high of the first therapy session again. Because
totally.
Do you agree?
Oh
We've
my
never
God.
spoke about this.
I honestly, after the first session, I could actually feel like my back and my shoulders, literally.
Yes.
I just felt like I relaxed. And honestly, I was buzzing and I slept so well and it was great. But then you never get that again.
Oh my God, Stace, that is exactly how I would describe my first therapy sessions as well. You never get it again. And because you feel listened to, you feel validated, you just feel better getting it off your chest. Literally, like from a physical perspective, you feel like something's been lifted. Yes.
It's
but
amazing.
You never get it again. And
you don't.
Well, maybe some people might, but I never got it again.
No, I didn't get it again. But then again, I think that's okay. Like, your first session, I think it's great if it feels like that you are actually feeling this weight being lifted. Like, that is an amazing feeling if you just feel so much lighter. But then I have always thought the sessions after that have just, they've been great, but they're just kind of, followed on and kind of plateaued, kind of, I suppose, but still really helpful.
100%. Yeah, no, 100%. And I think it's all part of like the growing and learning more about yourself and things. But I think coaching's quite good, because normally when I'm coaching clients, it'll be, right, I'm here and I want to get here. How do I get here? Whereas therapy is like, I'm here, this is how I'm feeling. And please, if you're a therapist and you're listening to this, let me know if I'm speaking about this wrong, because I wouldn't want to get it wrong. But I often think therapy is like, I'm here, I need to understand why I'm here. And how I can start to reprogram my brain, change the way I'm thinking about things, etc., etc.
And I don't know, and I may be wrong with this, but so you can answer the question. But I suppose I've always felt coaching was probably more to do with like either your work and development and things like that, rather than like a problem. Like, is it more like, would you say it's more like to do with work, career, or can it be like personal coaching?
That's a really good question. I think it can be about anything, really.
Okay.
I think it can be about anything. I think it can even be about, I would just want to feel better.
Yeah.
Like, my jobs, and quite often, you'll hear I'm killing it in my job. I'm doing really well, but I just don't feel good in myself. So there's actually something called the Wheel of Life, which I use quite a lot in coaching sessions. And that gets you to look at all the different elements of your life and understand where are you feeling good just now, and where is it you want to put a little bit more attention and focus. So that's one of the first coaching tools that I'd use with somebody, to understand, unless they came and they were like, I want to be coached because I want to start a business and I just don't know how. I want to be coached because I hate my job and I need to like help me work out what I want to do next and things. So unless there's something quite specific, and if you are like, I just don't feel good, if you're listening to this thinking, I just don't feel that good, go and Google Wheel of Life, because you can, Google it really easily. Google it is my answer to anything.
Oh, yeah. I'll Google it.
I'll Google it. So have a look at that and try and understand. And what you could even do is rate things on a scale of 1 to 10. So 10 being amazing, 1 being not so good. where
Okay.
would you place how you're feeling about things just now? You know, career, money, relationships, romantic, friends, romantic relationships, your home, physical activity, whatever it is, and then work out, okay. And what I'd say as well is then I work with people to say, right, if you're a 5, how can we get you to be a 7? Because you're
Mhm.
not going to be a 9 overnight. It's a
No.
slow process.
Mhm.
So yeah.
So it really can be about any sort of area of your life. I think that's maybe a bit of a misconception then. For a long time I had thought it was just, oh, it's like business coaching. Like,
Yeah.
it's about like my career coaching, but it's not. It can be about the things like your romantic relationships if you're just generally feeling not how you want
Yeah.
to be feeling. So I think anyone who is unsure if coaching is for them and what is going on in their life, it's just worth reaching out and just like, asking the question. It might be that you might say, well, actually, you've had quite a traumatic experience. I would suggest that maybe this is something that you need to dig a little deeper into with a medical professional.
Yes,
Hmm.
absolutely. And actually, another thing to think about is mentoring in this as well, because often mentoring gets kind of crossed over as like, oh, is it coaching or is
Oh,
it mentoring? So
so what is the difference?
mentoring is somebody, usually someone who has more experience, helping
Mhm.
somebody who has less experience to move forward. So
Oh,
helping
okay.
them learn from their experience to develop a skill, or it's normally a specific thing that you're helping them with. So for example, in my work, we often set up people with mentors to increase their organizational knowledge
Oh,
or to
okay.
develop their executive presence or things like that. So mentoring is a really good option from a career perspective. And I suppose you could probably apply that principles to like a life coaching perspective as well.
Hmm.
But mentoring gives you more answers than coaching will.
Ah, okay.
Because you'll say, right, I would go away and do that, read that, do this, da da da. Here's some feedback.
Oh, okay.
But a good mentor will coach people as well, is what I always say, is to make it more
Oh
confusing. Because
gosh.
they will like ask them, like, well, what do you think? That is like,
Hmm.
that's a coaching question. How would you
Yeah.
approach this? That's a coaching
Mhm.
question. So there's a bit of both, but mentoring, usually what you're actually seeing in organizations now is like reverse mentoring as well, which is fantastic for people who are more senior to understand the views and the perspective of people who are more junior.
Oh, that is really interesting.
Or it doesn't even need to be about that. It could be about, ethnicity and race. So my organization has a ethnicity and race network, and we pair people up from that network with senior leaders or people in the organization for them to just increase their knowledge and understanding of something that, if they're a white male, which a lot of people in my organization are because they're an
Hmm.
engineering UK firm, they don't have that lived experience. So
Gosh, yeah.
mentoring, I suppose, is sharing your getting someone else's lived experience and learning from that.
That is invaluable, isn't it? Like if
Hmm.
you can get that. And I mean, it's lucky you work in an organization that has that. There'll be so many people in businesses that never have access to that, whether they're small private company and they're all just kind of getting back day by day. But that
Yeah.
is really, really interesting.
And
Yeah.
actually, Stacey, you've made me think of something there. So I always speak about mentoring, like, so in my organization, we do have a mentoring scheme, and some organizations will, some won't. And you're maybe sat there thinking, like, okay, well, that's great, but how do I get myself a mentor? And what I would say is, like, I feel like it's like asking someone to be your boyfriend or your girlfriend, like, it's very icky. You're like, like, be my mentor. And you're like cringing at yourself. I think that we have an opportunity to think differently and change the narrative on it.
Hmm.
I would just say, look, I'd love to know more about the part of the business that you work in, or I'm trying to move into this space, or you're more senior than me and I want to progress my career. Could we have a coffee together, a virtual coffee, have a chat? And then you have the first one, and then you say, you could maybe say, I'd actually be really interested if we had a bit of a mentoring relationship. But if you had a really good conversation, that person, the person who is the mentor learns so much from the mentee as well, that you could actually just say, like, okay, would you mind if I put a coffee in about 6 weeks' time? I know you're really busy. In 6 weeks' time, could I just put a coffee in again just so we could have a reconnect? Because I've learned so much from you
That's
today.
amazing.
Just have it a bit more organic rather than this
Yeah.
cringe, like, will you be my mentor? And I honestly like, ugh, it's bad. It's cringy. It's like asking someone to be your girlfriend or a boyfriend. I remember like at school, they're like, oh,
No, you'd get your mate to ask them.
oh yes. That's very true.
Will you be my mate's mentor?
I'll ask people for you. You pick who you want, and you could do the same for me.
That is so funny. No, but that's really interesting. And that's something, if you've got, like, if you feel confident enough to be able to do that, it's a great way to build connections. It's a great way to meet new people and widen your network. So it's definitely, hopefully that's something that people can take away from today as well, that, coaching and mentoring doesn't need to be this huge, big thing. It can be as small as, could we have coffee and I can maybe pick your brain about some things, That's really interesting, Stace.
Yeah, think of it more as like I'm trying to work with people to say, think of it more as mentoring interactions rather than like relationships and like this, someone's going to be my mentor for 6 months. Because I've had people in work and they've got a mentor and they're like, I never speak to them. Like, it's not a good match. It's back to that whole, everything is based on relationships. So if you don't feel like you have a good match from a therapy perspective, a coach or a mentor, then I would definitely think it's not going to benefit you. You could have the most senior person in your organization.
Yeah.
And you're like, that is the role that I want. And if you don't have that kind of connection, then there's no point in having the mentoring relationship, really.
Gosh, that is insightful for a Saturday morning, Stace. That's deep and I like it.
Did it make sense?
Honestly, that is so, so interesting. And I really think people will, I obviously have a more of an understanding of like what the difference between coaching and therapy is. But for other people who are not in that world, I can see why they would be like, well, what do I need? Do I need a therapist? Do I need a coach? What do I need? So I think
that's quite a good point, Stacey. As someone who isn't like, doesn't live in this as much, how would you describe it? I'd love to hear that.
So I think for me, a therapist, now this is somebody who does not work in coaching at all or mentoring. I'm a marketing person. So, I am not in that world at all. But I have always kind of thought that therapy and therapists were for when I had something that I needed to work through. So like experiences from your past, if you've had something traumatic happen to you, that you need to deal with because it's impacting your daily life and it's causing you to not feel good. You need to kind of unpack it, see why it makes you feel that way. And I don't think you ever get over certain things that happen in your life. You learn to deal with them and you learn to live with them. And that's what that's what a good therapist will do. Help you be able to be like, shine a light on that part and say, okay, well, that's just part of my story. That is who I am. But I need to be okay with it because I have to live with that for the rest of my life. So that's kind of what I see a therapist is. And I had kind of thought like, a coach, mentor is somebody who, I suppose I had not really noticed the difference between coaching and mentoring, to be honest. I had kind of thought they were one and the same. I always thought it was somebody who maybe had more experience in an area than you, who could guide you through something that you're going through, usually to do with work. Hadn't really appreciated before, I had learned about more of it from you, that it could be, something personal. It could be to do with like romantic things. I know for me, like, I have a lot of money beliefs. I have a lot of imposter syndrome. I have a lot of that. And you are really great at kind of coaching me on that. So that's not necessarily even to do with work. That's just, an obscene spending habit that I need to get under control. That's something that you can kind of coach me on. And I had realized, well, I thought that, therapy is more, medically, it's based in medicine, and coaching is probably based more in like real world, like theory sort of, textbook sort of thing. But that's just kind of my understanding of it. But it's so great to hear what, like, as a coach, like, when you would say, no, that's actually a therapy route. And that's actually, no, that's something I can help you with on coaching.
Yeah, completely. And what I would say is, because I don't think we've touched on too much woo-woo.
Not enough. Woo-woo.
Not enough. I find spiritual readings the most useful.
Yeah.
I'm trying to work out ways to do the way I want to articulate it, but I find them super useful to help me navigate where I'm going next. And what I would say is, like, you shouldn't listen. You know, there's good ones and there's bad ones. Stacey and I have very good ones that we can put you into. Send us a DM.
I could tell you all the bad ones and all the good ones.
Yeah.
I spoke to them all.
Yeah, exactly. We have paid that money, so we will let you learn from our mistakes. But we have very good ones, very, very good ones that are like...
We found the good ones, yeah.
We have. And I would say I actually get loads of comfort from that, because it's about, this is what's coming, and it gives me a sense of excitement for things in the future as well.
It does. That is really, I mean, I speak with him. I'm part of a spiritual development circle. We sit on a Monday night and we speak about all things woo-woo. And for me, Amy, who runs that, you know, she's almost like coaching. Like, you know, because she's getting guidance and messages from spirit and things like that. And it just helps me feel a little bit more secure in my decisions about things that I'm doing. You know, she's helping me work on my intuition and trusting my own gut. And, you know, that's kind of like a coaching, you know, it's just a different kind of it. It's just a different kind of coaching. But again, something really useful. So we hope that we can give a mixture of both, don't we, Stacey?
Yeah, that's what the Personal Growth Collective, I would say, is a blend of both of that. Like, I'm not like a medium, but I've got like, we both have Stacey's. Really,
it would save me a lot of money if you were a medium.
Same here. Same here. But yeah, I always just, and you know, I've heard people say, you know, well, this was supposed to happen I was talking to my friend last night and she was saying, this was supposed to happen by this date. They're not always great at dates, you know, and you have to think,
can they be? How can they be?
Exactly. But if you can take 95% plus, which is what I usually land up about, of what they say is like, yeah, actually, I can see that. Or things maybe they'll say it's going to happen in August and it doesn't happen in August, and you can't live your life by that, but you know it's coming, or you build towards, you almost like, you just act in a way that if that's what you're trying to bring into your life, knowing that it's coming gives you this confidence to, you know, okay, well, that's coming, so I need to be able to move forward. So I think that helping, if you feel a bit stuck, they can be really useful as well, if you believe in it. And if you don't believe in it, I do super believe in it, so I don't know, but I've had friends, I think that if you're not receptive to it, it doesn't work the same in a way.
Oh yeah,
so you have to build that.
For sure. You have to be open to it for sure. But I mean, never fear, because there is going to be a lot of woo-woo. I mean, today I think has been really useful for actually finding out like what coaching is and how people can benefit from it. But never fear, the woo-woo is not far away. And we will have episodes that are dedicated to woo-woo, if that's what you're here for. Here for the crystals. Here for the crystals.
Exactly.
I think that's a really good place to kind of wrap up today, Stace. It's been really useful. Thank you so much. Please excuse the Trunchbull hair. I mean, why do other girls suit buns?
Oh my God, no, I'm not having that. You so suit a bun.
Why is
so suit a bun? I look horrendous.
I am an actual moon face. It is unbelievable.
And what a gorgeous moon face you are. What a lovely way.
Full moon. It is a full moon. So yeah, I think that's a great place to wrap it up. Stace, thank you so much for giving us so much useful information and letting us pick your brain about coaching today. So
thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to run downstairs and hug you before you leave.
Yeah, I'll see you in a minute.